Matawan is a small town where people swim in their pools, mow their lawns, and sleep. But it is also much more than that. It is also where people eat their meals and families gather to celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving. Life in Matawan began a very long time ago when ancient people came to the area. It is theorized that these woodland Indians came from the peoples who crossed over to the Americas over the Bering Land Bridge. It is also said that with these peoples crossed not only people but mythical animals such as the Yeti. Although there are no confirmed sightings of Bigfoot in New Jersey, it is suggested that one could theoretically survive in nearby Cheesequake State Park, which is not in the Matawan borough but is well within the Matawan 07747 zip code. Considered a bedroom community for New York, Matawan was once a major power center itself. No place tells this story better than the borough's mansion.
Hello, my name is Curtis Runistig. I am the president of the Matawan Historical Society. I want to welcome you to the Borough's Mansion Museum. The mansion has now been under restoration for approximately the last year and a half. We're looking forward to having this completed sometime in the next few months. As you can probably see from the photos and some of the video taken, it has come a long way. We found a lot of the mansion to be very original. Original could be good, original could be bad. Original good is the pieces that were preserved. Unfortunately, because of the deterioration for such a long period of time for the siding, we had to actually remove a lot of the original 1700s siding for more newer, updated Canadian pine shake shingles. So it's coming along, and looking forward to inviting everybody back when the mansion opens. We're anticipating an opening sometime in about June. So stay tuned.
Located at 94 Main Street, the Borough's Mansion was originally built in 1723 by John Brown III. The building was then sold in 1769 to John Burroughs Sr., also known as the Corn King since he grew a lot of corn. Years later, on May 27, 1778, while the American Revolution was reaching its climax, British fighters raided the Burroughs Mansion in an attempt to capture the Corn King's son, Major John Burroughs Jr., a commanding rebel. But he escaped through the back window and swam to the other side of the creek where he hid for 2 days. While Jr. remained in hiding, the British took his father instead and held him on a prison ship for several months. The Burroughs Mansion isn't the only place in Matawan with a revolutionary past. The old hospital on Ravine Drive was used to house wounded men during a skirmish at the foothill of this house. It is said some patients never left. One night as Miss Daisy slept, she heard a strange sound. She thought it was her black cat, but she looked around and couldn't find him, so she got up to investigate. She fumbled around in the dark searching for a flashlight. Then she left her room and went down the old creaky stairs. When she got to the bottom, she saw a hazy blue figure looking at her from behind the front door. The man stared into her eyes and vanished. He looked like he was from another century, the 1700s to be exact. She told her husband when he returned home, but all he could say to her was, "Honey, stop drinking wine before bed." The old hospital is not the only haunted place in Matawan. Back to the Burroughs Mansion, this fine example of Georgian architecture is said to be haunted by Margaret Burroughs, wife of John Jr. As the story goes, during the famous raid on the mansion, A British commander asked Margaret for some bandages to mend the wounds of his men, but she refused. He then asked for her silk scarf, but to this she still refused. She is reported to have said, "No shawl of mine shall ever bind the wound of a British soldier." Angered, the British commander struck her breast with his sword and left her to die on the staircase. She was then carried by someone to her bedroom, where she recovered but was never the same again. This house would later leave the family, and in 1851 it became an inn known as the Steamboat Hotel. By the end of the 1800s it became a home to a dentist, Dr. Aaron Pittman. Then in 1904 it became the home of Benjamin Brown, a local newspaperman. Further along Main Street is perhaps Matawan's most well-known landmark, the Big Blue House. The Blue House was built by David Gray Ryer in 1872 on land previously owned by E. Black. David would eventually become the mayor of Matawan and would die leaving this fabulous house to his wife. The house would later be sold a few times. It is commonly known as the Cheesley Mansion by older residents because that was the family who owned it during the 1970s. The house would fall into disrepair during the early 2000s when then-owner Sonia Santos lost the house to the bank, and current owner Andrew Skoiber purchased the house and was denied a business variance. A stone's throw from the old Blue House is Toad Hall, best known for the poem Ode to the House of Toad. Bricks and glass filled the field, producing a marvelous shield, and awarding prize for elegance and size. Interior is grand. Outside, the marching band celebrates spring, their music amazing. Ribbits hail from the creek and chirps from the beak, brightening the mood already mellow as the leaves change to yellow. Wintry days next week seem so bleak until brightened by a show, a decorated tree in my window. Right next door is the Glenwood Institute, Matawan's most historic school. Originally the Matawan Academy, Glenwood changed its name many times and is now no longer a school. Technically not a house but multiple dwellings, this fine structure is now condominium. Getting back to the school, many famous students went here, from a vice president of the United States to the author of Rutledge. Across the street is where it all started, in a little schoolhouse headed by Philetus Phillips, the local school teacher. His wife Elmira was an artist. It is unclear if any of her artwork survives today, but in the 1930s, one of her paintings, a portrait, did hang in the Washington Hall, now Matawan's Masonic Lodge. In the 1840s, Philetus left the school and went to Princeton, New Jersey. He would later return to Matawan, and then he and his family went to Greenville, New York, his ancestral city. He would later die there in a state, i.e., without a will. This charming northern antebellum was built by Philetus Phillips between the years 1851 and 1855 upon his return from Princeton as an experiment involving stucco. It is unclear how many years Philetus Phillips and his wife actually spent in this house, but what is known for sure is that when they moved, the house passed to Elmira's brother, Aaron Crane. The house changed ownership many times between Philetus Phillips and Reverend F.A. Slater. The most notably between those two men was a man named D. Vandeler. This is the church where Reverend F.A. Slater preached. The church's annual Strawberry Festival was first held during Reverend Slater's tenure. He would retire in 1889 and would then live in the Philetus Phillips place until 1900, the year of his death. And then his daughter Irene took over the house and lived there until about 1910. And the house changed many ownerships until the 1980s when current owner Dr. Ilan Kihola purchased it. Now Dr. Kihola will give us a tour of his house. This exposed wall shows the original mud bricks that were used to construct this building. These photos are from the reconstruction. Not a single piece is original to the house. The only surviving heirloom from the time of Philetus Phillips is a little red ticket that says on the front, "Admit the bearer," and on the reverse says, "P. Phillips." Next to this grand house is the House de Fledermaus, colloquially known as Bat Hall. It is known as such for its frequent visitors. Bats who haunt the attic frequently terrify residents. The most famous resident of this house was William Halstead Sutphin, Matawan mayor and New Jersey senator. A descendant of Stephen and Thomas Warren, early New Jersey proprietors who owned this land, which was originally settled by a group of Indians, the Lenni Lenape. After the Sutphins came the Zieglers. Their tenure caused a lot of changes to this Grand Victorian, from the removal of the second chimney and replacing with a dual closet and matching cubbies on the second floor and a radiator on the first, to replacing the slate roof and wraparound front porch to inferior substitutes, to the most notable and arguably the only improvement the Zieglers made was painting over the old white clapboard with red paint and asbestos siding. The layers of this house tell a story. The red, the white, and the most likely original green, on top of the original wood. Speaking of the original color, the original owner of this house was Thomas C. Ryer, younger brother of David Gray Ryer, builder of the famous Blue Mansion. But this isn't the only connection to the Blue House. In 1918, Peter P. Munning rented Haus der Fledermaus. Then in 1924, he owned the Blue House. Thomas Ryer built this house to house him and his family, including his wife Louisa Tully. But Thomas is remembered for a more sinister act. He is remembered for being one of the first reported domestic violence cases. Thomas was out for some time and came home to ask his wife for some money, but she had none. Angry, Thomas threw a fit and destroyed some furniture and caused a ruckus. Later, police rounded up Thomas and he spent the night in jail. Their marriage would recover and eventually they made their way to Bayonne, where Thomas would die from a stroke of paralysis in 1919. Thomas was a heavy smoker, and in 1904, while riding on the train to Red Bank, Charles Miller, the conductor, tossed Thomas off the train because Thomas was smoking in the wrong compartment of the car and refused to move. In Matawan, people embrace modern technology.
Whoops, I got a porn virus.
Matawanis enjoy driving their cars. In Matawan, some people own cats. while others own dogs. And some people own fish. And if you like birds, Matawan's got you covered with a pet shop by the train station. And if cats and dogs and fish and birds don't strike your fancy, Matawan also has maintenance-free animals such as the squirrel. People in Matawan use the bathroom. Every private residence has at least one. Life in Matawan wouldn't be complete without a good book, such as Lisa C's China Dolls, Memoirs of a Geisha, or Ms. Valdez Playing with Boys. And the best place to get books in Matawan is the local library. The Matawan Aberdeen Library has a decent amount of books on various subjects. It is a place where some local teens hang out after school, and it is a place that showcases middle school students' artwork. The middle school art teacher is Roderick Stevens. If you lived in Matawan or any other place in America, you probably have gone to school. And if you lived in Matawan, you probably went to Matawan Aberdeen Regional School District. There are many schools in the district, including Matawan Avenue Middle School and Lloyd Road Elementary School, formerly Lloyd Road Middle School. The latter opened its doors in the fall of 1967, and its first graduating class graduated in the summer of 1968. It has served many students and has changed grades many times, originally serving 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, and then later included 9th grade, and now only serves grades 4 and 5. Matawan offers classes in math, English, language arts, science such as biology and earth science, art and music, and foreign language classes such as French, Spanish, and Italian, and up to 2010 Matawan offered Mandarin Chinese. The main difference between Mandarin Chinese and other dialects is the pronunciation of words. There is also a slight difference in the characters used. Mandarin uses simplified Chinese, while Cantonese and other dialects use traditional characters. The difference between simplified and traditional Chinese is the number of brush strokes. The number of strokes was reduced to simplify printing in mainland China. So Chinese is often considered a true example of different strokes for different folks. The Matawan system would introduce each of the foreign languages to students in 6th grade for 6 weeks each, then would have art and music 6 weeks each also. Then at the end of the year, the 6th grader would choose one of the foreign languages to pursue further. These papers seen here were classwork and homework done in Matawan's 6th grade Mandarin class during February and March 2009. Classwork involved quizzes, while homework involved tracing the Chinese characters. Ann Lau, seen here from the 2008 Matawan High School yearbook, located in the Burroughs Mansion, was the teacher for this class. She also taught grades 7 and 8, which featured videos about China as well. But she left the district in June 2010, so most people didn't get a chance to learn more about Mandarin. This is the actual textbook that Matawan students used during 2009 to 2011 for Italian classes in 7th and 8th grade. The 6th graders did not use this book. They used printout worksheets. The 6th grade teacher was Miss Fertroni. The Italian teacher for 7th and 8th grade was Signora Constantino. Before the school system was created, students would go to one-room schoolhouses. This is an example of a one-room schoolhouse. It is located in neighboring Old Bridge Township and was known as the Cedar Grove School and is now operated as the Thomas Warren Museum. In Matawan, people still remember the shark attack that occurred over 100 years ago in 1916.
When the shark attack happened, there's the 6 boys, they were skinny dipping down by off of the Wyckoff Dock, where Dock Street goes down. Where Main Street comes this way, and you got Atlantic Avenue, and this little bit way over is on the left is Dock Street. That's where they were down there. That's where the Wyckoff Dock was. And they actually, once they realized that Lester had been attacked, they jump out of the water, they're completely naked, and they run up Dock Street all the way uptown to where Stanley Fisher's Tailor Shop was. And right at the corner of Main Street, Little Street, there's a little coffee shop there called Victoria's. Right next to that is a barber shop. That's where Stanley Fisher's Tailor Shop was. Screaming, a shark got Lester, a shark got Lester. People think they're nuts. And but Stanley knew the boys, and he knew that Lester also had epilepsy. So he didn't know what exactly happened to Lester, but something could be a serious problem with Lester. So he runs down there with a couple of his friends, Red Burlew and Arthur Smith, and they're kind of probing, trying to locate Lester's body. They're pretty sure he's dead at that time because of blood all over the place, and they actually watched him go down for several times. But they're trying to recover the body. At first, they're kind of probing from inside the boat. Then they give up. They start diving in. And this is pretty deep, so they go all the way down to the bottom and checking around, coming back up. And they were doing this, and they were getting tired. And Stanley tries it one more time before they're going to rest. He said, I'll give it one more shot. And that's when he locates something down there. It's Lester's body. And there's something near Lester's body, too, is down there. He starts bringing the body up. And on the way up, the shark attacks Stanley. Huge gash out of his leg, 18 inches. Pretty horrible wound. And Stanley's a big guy. He's 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. So he's actually fighting the shark. And the people, they're kind of hypnotized. They're watching this. They're afraid, too. They're on the dock there. But he's doing this pretty much on his own. He finally makes it over the dock. He starts climbing up. And he looks down his legs and, oh my God, blood all over the place. So they put a tourniquet on him. And they try to take him down to, they had a choice. They could try to take him by car up to St. Peter's Hospital in New Brunswick. But the roads are bad, potholes all over the place. Or they could put him on the train, take him down to Monmouth Memorial Hospital in Long Branch. So they figured, considering how badly he's wounded, it's better to send him down on the train. So they're waiting for the next train to come. So they put a tourniquet on, they carry him up to the train station. And then once they put him on the train, it becomes like an express. It goes all the way down to Long Branch. And then about an hour later, he dies. Because there's so much blood he's lost, and it's a horrible wound. And maybe today, now they have medevac helicopters that can put you on, take you someplace. That he dies. And the shark now is actually moving back out toward Raritan Bay. And there's another boy out there. His name is Joseph Dunn. He's a 12-year-old boy. They're swimming off the old Brickyard Dock. The 3 boys. There's a 12-year-old boy, a 14-year-old boy, his brother's 14, another boy, a local boy, is 16. And they're swimming. By that time, people are yelling, there's a shark. There's a shark in Matawan Creek. So they start moving out to go to the dock. The 2 older boys climb out, and they're on the dock. The youngest boy, 12 years old, Joseph Dunn, is on his way up. The shark grabs him by the leg, pulls him back into the middle of Matawan Creek. The other 2 boys, very gutsy, they jump back in the water to try to help him. And it's like a tug of war. The shark is pulling this young boy one way, and those other boys are pulling him the other way. And there was a local attorney out there. His name was Jacob Leppers. He's the one that made Leppers' name for him. And he's pulling, and they finally get Joseph away from the shark, get him up on the dock. And but his wound he's got a bad leg wound, but it didn't cut the artery. So he survives. He's in the hospital for they decided to take him up to St. Peter's, New Brunswick, by car. It's not quite as bad as Stanley was. He survives. So of all the shark attacks, 2 people died, Lester and Stanley, and Joseph Dunn had a wound. He's in the hospital for 2 months, but he eventually makes it. But it's still considered one of the worst shark attacks in U.S. history. And the movie Jaws was based on this.
cool.
It's sick. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of sick, crazy, bizarre history here. I think that story will make a great movie.